Yeah.
Man, what is this crap he's playing this morning, man?
I don't know. It's putting me in a bad mood. That's for sure.
little Kelly Reverb original here.
Hey, now.
And satiate, and now we talk. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to thispinkcloud.com.
Good morning. Good morning.
I am DJ Kelly Reverb, and that is the Professor Nolan.
The Professor Nolan hanging out with the DJ.
Try hanging out in the DJ booth, right? Yeah. Trying not to get the Rona.
Normally reserved for females, but
well, of
somehow
course,
I
dude.
snuck my way in there.
Well, you maybe had some sundries for me, so you know
It's entirely possible.
Or you were buying me shots all night. So then you're cool. You can hang out. But hey, so I am just going to cut to the chase. And Charles, if you're ready over there, we have a very special guest today. Wrote a little book. You might have heard of it. New York bestseller. It is called The Addicted Lawyer. And as you see his beautiful face on the screen, hello, Brian Cuban.
How y'all doing this morning?
We are good.
Doing good. How about yourself?
All good today.
Cool. I like your background. You did a little prep work. You've done this before.
I've done this before.
So but you didn't wear a suit today, so I'm a little disappointed. or at least a dickie.
Maybe just a clip-on
My bow
tie.
ties are at the dry cleaners.
Oh, there you go. That's
yeah.
okay. That's okay. We don't want you looking like a weatherman up there.
I don't mess with the bow ties because they just frustrate me, and I'll just go off on a tangent for like a week of anger after trying to tie a bow tie.
Right.
They're the hardest things in the
I
world
got
to
you.
do.
Well, that's why you get clip-ons. So, I mean, that's how I roll.
But then I'll know the whole time with the clip-on and judge myself.
Okay, I got you. Well, anyway, so Brian, I know we've got an image of your book. We will pop that up. But where do you want to start off? Because not everybody obviously has read your book. I thoroughly enjoyed it myself. Obviously, I got the audio version because I don't read so well.
I don't read so good.
But basically,
Why don't we start off with the story?
okay,
Yeah,
go ahead. Let's go.
Okay, it's June 2006.
Okay,
Dallas Mavs are going to the NBA championship for the first time.
right.
We had some success, and since my brother Mark had bought the team in January of 2000, but it was our first trip to the big show. A lot of excitement in the city and in my family. And as you might imagine, I was going to get some pretty good seats to those games.
You know somebody.
Yes, I knew somebody. I also had the opportunity to get a couple tickets for friends. I called up Mark, said, "Sure, Brian, come on over, get the tickets." Do you think I gave them to my friends?
Well, sort of. Maybe.
Maybe.
I know
not.
what you're thinking. This guy sold them on eBay for some astronomical amount,
Oh,
right?
yeah, sure.
Thinking like a lawyer. Well, I didn't do that either because that would be disrespectful to Mark, to the team. What I did was I took those 2 tickets and traded them to my drug dealer for $1,000 in cocaine.
A perfect
Selling
solution.
them on eBay was disrespectful.
Yeah,
Trading
right.
them to my drug dealer was perfectly acceptable. How the mind works in addiction.
Yeah,
Of
I
course.
understand the logic. It makes
Yeah.
perfect sense to me.
My dealer shows up at my house. I was high class. He delivered.
In
I
record
gave them-
time, right?
Yeah, big time lawyer. My 20th year as a practicing lawyer. I traded him. I handed him the 2 tickets. He gives me this giant Ziploc baggie of cocaine. I go running upstairs to my home office. I dump it out on the desk. This mountain of cocaine, my cocaine kingdom. Like I looked at it like I'm Scarface. I wanted to go.
Tony Montana.
Yeah, Tony Montana, Cuban. Have the little.
There you go.
There was a joke in there, right? Because he was Cuban.
Yeah,
But,
I can
hey
see
now.
it. I can see it.
And of course, I had to do something. I pull out the dollar bill and roll it up. And cocaine users can be a funny bunch, especially in the COVID era. We'll use the hand sanitizer, right? Make sure everything is just clean. But we'll shove a dollar bill up our nose.
Yeah, that's
God
safe.
knows where.
That's
used
perfectly
by
safe. Yeah.
who, and has all kinds of crap on it.
Who's
the last
which
9
strip?
cocaine
Yeah, which stripper's crack has that been in?
I mean,
You try not to think about it.
Right.
yeah. So
Well, were you stepping it up and using at least a $20 bill?
I don't remember, but
Whatever worked.
word again.
Whatever was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever was there.
Gotcha.
I used to go to Albertsons, wherever, and I'd buy a bunch of straws and just clip them all.
Good job. That is the because you will never lose all those straws. They'll be there somewhere.
The two S's, straws and strainers from Albertsons. Take the cocaine and go and get it into a powder.
There you go. I was a 2/4 guy. Like where you take but I was getting small amounts, so.
Yes.
Well, you use whatever, if you're out in a club, you use whatever was necessary. But in any event, but cocaine had long stopped giving me the feeling of love and self-love and confidence that I had achieved when I did it in the bathroom of the Crescent Hotel at an old club called Bone Ash downstairs.
I remember that well.
In the summer of 1987, I remember it well.
Sure.
For the first time, and instantly, and looked in the mirror, and for the first time in my life, loved myself. And
I'm beautiful.
Yes. It was after a life of a lot of self-hatred and loathing, and so this empty feeling in my stomach, and all of a sudden, wow, okay. And so I had to have that feeling again and again and again. And cocaine and alcohol took over my life, but there was also the paranoia from long-term cocaine use. I did the lines. Do I hear the cops outside? I go out and peek out my window looking downstairs.
Yeah.
Expecting SWAT to come busting through. I have this mountain of cocaine. I'm a lawyer. Yeah, I know I can go to jail.
I could probably get disbarred as well.
Yes. But what's the definition of addiction? Obsessive compulsive drug seeking behavior in the face of known consequences. Of course I knew it was illegal. But so I got very paranoid. I put the cocaine back in the Ziploc baggie. I hid it. And I drove to a Home Depot where I bought electrical faceplate outlets, a drill, and a saw.
Perfectly reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I drove back to my house, went upstairs to the closets in the different rooms, took the saw and the drill, and I cut out these rectangular holes into the drywall.
Yeah.
And I created these fake electrical outlets.
Perfect.
That I had seen in a Sky Mall magazine on a trip.
I have seen that magazine, actually. Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about, the hidden compartment.
Where they advertise these fake electrical outlets where you could hide your jewelry.
Yeah, that's what they're for.
Right. Well, I'm going to make a real one, and it's not going to work, but I'm going to hide my cocaine.
Yes.
Right.
Not my jewelry, but my cocaine. So I did that, and I put it in all these smaller Ziploc baggies to blow, and I closed it all up. Thinking I'm the smartest lawyer ever. Like the DEA, the cops, and the drug dogs have never thought of that one.
And they're not going to smell that, the dogs.
Like no one will notice just random faceplates in closets and places. Right. Yeah.
Probably like off-center, or was it off-kilter? How were your woodworking skills?
So I did a couple more lines, and again, just pain and shame and paranoia. And it was never about, well, maybe I have a problem. It was about maybe I need to change dealers. Maybe I need to switch out the Jack Daniels for the Grey Goose to find that right mixture.
Sure.
Yeah.
That right balance. And then the paranoia again. I go back to the electrical outlets, open them all up. I take out the cocaine. I walk to my bathroom in the master bedroom and drop to my knees and flush it down the toilet. Now it's $900 worth of cocaine. and of course, the cops weren't there, so it was
that's 2006 prices.
Yeah.
That was the 2006 prices. The next morning comes, and as so often happens when a perceived negative event in addiction gets in the rearview mirror, I wake up, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah.
Did I really flush that down the toilet? There's another game tonight. Another call to my dealer. Another call to Mark for 2 more tickets, another call to my dealer. He shows up at my house. He said, dude, you did all that last night? And it was an 8-ball, 3.5.
You're really good.
A couple 8 balls, actually, 3.5 ounces of cocaine. So about 7 ounces of cocaine or so, I remember. I forget how much it was and what the prices were, but it was a lot.
Sure.
And I didn't want to tell him I flushed it down the toilet like a moron.
Yeah, that would make you look stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me more cocaine. I am the cocaine anteater of Dallas. Okay, dude, here you go. Back up to my home office. Again, line some out. This time's going to be different. It wasn't. Paranoia again. Back to the closets. Hide it again. Do a couple more lines. Paranoia again. Take it back out again. Go back to that same bathroom for the second night in a row. dropped to my knees like I'd done so many times before, hoping, praying for someone to take away the pain of my addiction, and flushed it down the toilet again. They say when Dallas flushes, it ends up in Houston. So some people in Houston
I like that. Well,
the quote unquote insanity
Yeah.
of addiction, doing the
Yeah.
same thing over and over the same way and expecting a different result.
Yeah,
But of course, it's not insane. It's a biological brain-based process.
right.
Yeah, I love that story. For one, I think anyone who's been through addiction can relate to that whole crazy process. I mean, it kind of covers it hits all the highlights of addiction. You know what I mean? Like, a normal person would be excited to go to a basketball game, but it's, the addict's mind takes it a whole different route. And then
maybe have a beer or two at the game,
and then just throwing away all the drugs or throwing away whatever, and then an hour later, 10 minutes later, the next day, whatever, thinking you overreacted terribly and either upset with yourself or digging through the trash or whatever.
Or did you actually go back to those faux outlets and go, damn it, I know I left some here?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was funny. After I guess I had been in recovery about 6 months, and I was moving and I was cleaning out my house.
Right.
And I pulled out this giant shoebox of change, and I'm digging through it, and there is this baggie of blow that I had hidden.
Oh, nice!
And
you hid it from yourself.
I'm 6 months into recovery, looking.
Oh wow, dude!
And of course, it crossed my mind. You know what?
Sure.
I can just snort this. No one would know. And I go to that same toilet, and I'm looking down at the water in the bowl, and I'm holding it. And there's like if you ever seen Animal House, the little devils come up on you.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
of course.
One's like, "Do it." No, just do it. Snort
Yeah,
it.
right.
Snort it. And the other one goes, "Brian, don't you do that?" And I flushed it.
Well, nice. Yeah, trying to work up the courage to flush it while simultaneously trying to work up the courage to do it in that weird battle that takes place. Yeah, that's a turning point, though. Good thing you flushed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We might not be talking to each other at this point.
That same mental battle happened also in that same period with a bar of Xanax I found. I had a huge dependence on Xanax. I went through a brutal withdrawal because I would do blow all night, and then I would Xanax whip myself through the day.
You'd have to do the Elvis.
Pretty common.
Yeah,
with
you'd have to
cocaine.
do the Elvis, get up to go, and then, come down at some point.
The problem with that is I was also a practicing lawyer, so I ended up
That might get in the way.
I ended up going to court hearings under the influence of Xanax. I ended up having to do blow in the courthouse bathrooms to counter effect the Xanax.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember getting called down to an emergency temporary restraining order hearing, and I had already popped a bar, so I had to do some I had to do some blow just to
Counterbalance to get in the pocket.
to get down to that hearing. And
Yeah.
it was just awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I love that. And then I also love the story. I know you lived in the village, right?
Yes.
So we call it the Villaggio. Have you ever heard that term? The Villaggio. Yeah, that's what we called it to fancy it up.
Yeah, I was living in the village well before the Bellagio was built. So
No, but the Villaggio with a V. So, you make it sound like Vegas. But
I would have never made, because this was 86, 87. I
True.
remember lots of happy hours at the Village Country Club.
Oh, yeah. And then that was at the time when you got hit by the car with the Egg McMuffins. I got to hear that.
Yeah, I was at some bar with my pal called Legends in the Village, and they had
I got a story about that.
And they had this giant boxing ring in the middle of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how it was back then. Every place around Greenville became popular. Then it would close, unless it was, a few of them had staying power. But you had Confettis, you had Legends, you had Studebakers, you had all these different bars popping up and closing.
Tijuana Yacht Club.
So I had been, I was at this bar, and I'd been just going and blowing, and then going into the bathroom and doing blow. And the bar closed about 2 a.m. And my buddy, we stop at McDonald's, where I buy all of these, which is right across the street from the Village on Southwestern.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still there.
I know it well.
So I bought 6 or 7 or so Egg McMuffins and had them in this bag, and we're and we're driving my place, which is right around the corner. I forget, I was living on Shady Brook, and And so I'm munching on these Egg McMuffins. He lets me out, and I have an Egg McMuffin in my mouth, and I step out the door. He pulls away, and boom, I get hit by this car. It hits me in the legs, and it flips me up over the car. Oof. And down I hit the windshield, roll off the hood, and back out onto the street. And I'm just lying there, and I had on a white polo, a button-down polo that is now turning red. I wasn't hurt seriously,
right?
But I had all these cuts and scrapes.
It was merely a flesh wound, right?
Yeah, a bunch of little cuts. Death
right.
by 1,000 cuts.
There you go.
But the shirt's turning red from blood.
Sure.
And I'm trying to figure out what happened. I'm still high on blow.
And you've got your Egg McMuffin in your hand, right? You saved the Egg McMuffin.
The bag's lying next to me.
Right.
And so these two people are staring down at me, and the woman is screaming, "What did you do? What did you do? This is your fault." And I start laughing. And I'm laughing at them. And I'm high on cocaine, and I have no idea what's happened. And then the guy, he uses the B word. He goes, "Get back in the car, B word." And they just leave me there. They get back in the car, and they drive off.
Oh, man, that is great.
These guys come from across the street on the other side of the street. This guy comes. He's looking down at me, and he's a paramedic. And they saw what had happened. So I said, "Just help me back into my house." He says, and I don't know if this part's in the book or not. He said, "You shouldn't be alone in case you have a concussion."
True.
And I said, "No, I'm fine." Just he had asked if I wanted to go to the hospital. I said no. And so I go back into their place, and we smoked weed all night.
I didn't hear that part. I like this.
Yeah, and we smoked weed all night at his place, and then I finally went back to my place, and my ribs had started hurting. So now we're getting into Sunday. My ribs are starting to hurt. No big deal, just a bruise. Monday morning comes. I show up at work, and I go, and I can no longer breathe. Mm. So I drive myself to the hospital, and I'd broken a couple ribs.
Well, the cocaine and alcohol saw you through, and the weed saw you through that pain window.
Yes. I mean, the fun times of addiction, right?
Yeah.
What a mess.
Sure. I wanted to ask you, because I started DJing right around 87, 88. So that was back in your prime days of partying. So do you ever remember a club called Profiles in the Centrum building? No, nothing.
My big hangouts were Stan's, Blue Note.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Greenville. So you were a Greenville guy.
The whiskey bar, Fast and Cool. The first nightclub I ever went to in Dallas was before I even moved to Dallas. I came down to visit Mark while I was in law school, and he took me to Fast and Cool. And Mark was the king of Fast and Cool.
I bet, dude.
There was this guy, Bernard the doorman, knew Mark, and they took me in there, and Mark would buy these $5, $10 bottles of raw cut champagne, and he would buy a bunch of them. And he'd just walk around with these champagnes offering drinks to people. And he was the king. And I loved it.
That's hilarious. Speaking of that, I want to talk about the gold pants, dude. It was mentioned in the book. I love this story. So I literally imagined your brother in his room dancing to The Hustle by Van McCoy and wearing some gold pants and just getting his 70s on, huh?
Yeah. He gave me a pair of shiny gold bell-bottom disco pants that were his.
Right.
And it's actually not a good remembrance story because I was a heavy kid, and this is a lot of the trauma I went through in life. And those pants ended up being the focal point of my being bullied and being physically assaulted, and having those pants ripped off me down in my underwear a mile from home. And it's something I talk about a lot and talk about bullying.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely one of those movie moments, but you can kind of turn it into a super bad comedy moment.
Well, trauma, addiction has a very strong correlation to trauma, and especially childhood trauma. So, there is a funny part to Mark teaching disco and all that, but it was not a fun story for me. Yes, they have a pair of shiny gold bell-bottom disco pants he gave to me. I wore them. They didn't fit me that well, and I ended up getting bullied severely over my wearing them and actually physically assaulted.
How tall now? Yeah, because I mean, to paint a mental picture, you were how tall and wearing gold pants?
Well, I was over 6 foot and won about 260 pounds.
Yeah.
And Mark was not a big kid in terms of weight. They fit him fine, but my butt looked like 15 cats trying to get out wearing.
You had some hail damage back there?
Yeah, I had the gut hanging over. But
there you go.
Mark and I are very close. I love my, and they were his gift to me, and I wore them. And I said, screw those kids. And they said, screw you, Brian.
Well, and that kind of leads into another, we talked about alcohol and cocaine a little bit, but something else that you bring up at times in the book is steroids,
Yes, I had very severe body image. I've struggled over my life with very severe body image issues called body dysmorphic disorder.
Pretty common in drug addicts and alcoholics too, yeah.
Is when you take a small or non-existent defect in your perceived reflection and exaggerate it to the point where it affects your ability to function, quote unquote, normally in life. Anytime I looked in the mirror, I just saw this huge fat pig, as I used to be called in school and such. And I circled through all these destructive behaviors, trying to see something else. And one of those destructive behaviors was anabolic steroids. And I went through a period of very severe anabolic steroid abuse. And I grew huge.
Yeah.
And but no matter how big I got, I still saw the same monster in the mirror, and it became quite a problem. I almost lost my left leg because I injected myself in my leg while still under the influence of cocaine from the night before. And with anabolic steroids, you have to use a very sterile protocol and different needles and all this stuff so you don't get a staph infection. And I ended up getting a staph infection and letting it go. And when they finally operated on it, it was in question whether they'd be able to save my leg, which they did. But I still have some residual issues to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, anytime you're messing around with needles, there's a little bit of a risk of staph and things like that, abscesses and whatnot, but
given that we're going short on time, I think it's important for everyone to know that I have been in recovery from all of these things for 13 and a half years now. I'm in long-term recovery from cocaine, alcohol. I've also struggled with bulimia, binging and purging.
By the way, I want to take a moment here, and Charles is going to pull up this studly picture of you I found on the internet. I did some pre-production of you by the pool where you're all like golden boyed out.
Picture. That's a,
do you have it, Charles? Okay. Is it coming up on the screen here, or are we going to zoom it up here? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I just want to see how and appreciate the beautiful man that Brian was and how he could still, I mean, because come on, I mean, I'm a heterosexual, happily married man, but, I mean, that was a good looking dude by the pool.
Let's make some, there we go.
There we go. Oh, wait. Yeah. You got to center it. Whoever that guy is in the background, we'll blur him out later. There we go. Look at that guy. Look at that beefcake.
You know what I see? I see, look at that douchebag. Look at that sunglass wearing, hat ass backward douchebag. That's what I see.
I hear you. It can go both ways. Well, you know what? Let's jump to that. So what was the sort of turning point? What brought about sobriety for you? I mean, obviously there was a long period of the drugs and alcohol maybe not quite working like they used to, but you just kind of stay in that. So at least that's what I did, certainly, and it sounds like from reading the book that's what you did.
During that time, there was also a near suicide attempt in the summer of 2005, where my brothers took me to Green Oaks Hospital. 3 failed marriages, all failing because of drugs and alcohol. Although I'm very happily married today by the
congratulations
to the woman who was with me for rock bottom. And then finally, it's my second trip to Green Oaks in 2005 was the turning point. And the next day, I walked into the rooms of 12-step, which for those, the most well-known of the alcohol 12-step is AA, but there are others.
Right, sure. NA, all that, yeah. Hey, so question real quick. Who was the person, or was it yourself, that called you out on your addiction, that said, hey, was it just a self-awakening, or was it like, did Mark come to you and go, dude, you're pushing
Mark
it.
had called me out a couple times and even set a point because I was working for Mark
Right.
for a period of time and said, if you show up again like that, you're fired.
Right.
Yep.
And so Mark called me out a couple times and
probably didn't think anything of it, right?
The second time was with my current wife, and we dated for over a decade before we got married because I had to rebuild the broken trust. She came home after visiting her parents for a weekend, and I had a 2-day drug and alcohol-induced blackout, and she found me in bed, and she didn't know anything about my problems.
Right.
And I had hidden them all. I had a JD in law, but I had a PhD in camouflaging.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You have to be good at that. If you're good at your habit, if you're good at your habit, then you definitely have to cover your tracks for sure.
Because that's survival, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone is how you survive. But,
Absolutely.
And so that was, we ended up dating for over 10 years while I had to rebuild the broken trust. And so now we've been married over 4 years, but been together going on 15 years.
Would you like to give your wife a shout out?
Amanda, shout out, I love you.
I love you, babe. Yeah, that always scores points. So,
so I would have to say it was her. I mean, it was a progress.
Yeah.
And my brothers and everyone was happy that I began my journey. And of course, everyone was a bit skeptical because you can't recover for everyone else, right?
Sure, you got to do it for yourself, right?
You have to do it for yourself, and you can't try to make people not skeptical. And so, and I had to do it for me. And so I've stayed in the rooms of 12-step, went to meeting after meeting after meeting.
And another question off of that, did you actually go seek treatment? I know you went to Green Oaks, but that's more of a mental.
I did not recover in residential treatment. I did not go to residential treatment. My therapies were I still see a psychiatrist.
Sure.
Same guy.
Right.
And 12-step.
Right.
Well, and I like the way that you put that. I think there's this idea that rock bottom is some sort of magical one-time event or some sort of, I don't know.
It's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress in a lot of cases.
I use the term rock bottom for all your viewers to have context. I don't even like the term.
Yeah, me either.
The goal should be to find recovery at the highest possible point, not
absolutely. There's no reason why you have to lose everything before you decide that this isn't going well.
I was well on my way to losing everything, but luckily I had I hooked it into Summer Sky.
Yeah.
Well, we have to. I mean, I would be disingenuous to not acknowledge the substantial privilege I've had in both addiction and recovery. If I have very few people in this world have a billionaire brother who they love each other dearly, and if not for my family. Because there was a point where I had no clients left. I didn't have a job.
Right.
And my family made sure I didn't live under a bridge. And
the
vast majority of people do not have that privilege.
Mm-hmm. And actually wind up under that bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. People come from broken families, dysfunctional families with people who go to jail, and they do end up living under bridges and things like that. And I have to acknowledge that I have privilege.
Yeah.
I have skin color privilege. I have financial privilege. I have many types of privilege.
Sure.
And we have to acknowledge that.
Right. No. And then let's go a little backstory. I know you came from Pittsburgh, so are you a Steelers fan?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Go Steelers.
Yeah, my God.
Pirates, Penguins.
Penguins, okay.
Gold.
I got you.
Guys, I'm going to have to run.
Okay. Hey, let's get a copy of his book up, Charles, if we can. Can we pull that up real quick just so everybody can see it?
Yeah, really enjoyed it so far. I'm almost done with it, by the way, Brian. Got maybe 4 or 5 chapters still left, but really enjoyed it. Very candid. I mean, I enjoy any drug addict or alcoholic story, really, to tell you the truth, and it's a good one. We didn't have time.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we didn't have time to touch on everything in the book, but it's super interesting, guys.
And we would definitely love to have you back again when we can allocate a little more time. But I appreciate you squeezing us in. And hey, by the way, tell your bro that I actually own the MarkCuban.com. So I do.
Okay.
I have the MarkCuban.com, and I'd be willing to transfer ownership for maybe season tickets or something. But anyway, we're going to...
Not in my area.
there. So hey, Mark, you know,
Now it's out there. Brian, thank you so much for the time.
I
Thanks for coming
appreciate
by.
it. And I'd love to hit a 12-step meeting with you since we're in the same
anytime.
area.
I'm well, I won't say. I won't
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah,
Right.
I got you.
Meet me. Reach out to me offline, and I'll tell you what group I'm in.
Okay, and then do you have a planned meeting that you're going to, or do you just kind of go whenever you want?
The last few have been virtual, and I don't plan on doing
Right.
and not from that particular group, just virtual meetings.
I gotcha.
I'm
Cool.
very sensitive to COVID, and
Right. Understood.
And so I don't. Until there's a vaccine, I'll be very reluctant to go to in-person meetings.
Okay, I understand.
As many of
Hey,
us are.
and then once again, thanks for your time. I can't, express it enough, and I'd love to have you back on, and we can talk more about whatever kind of good stuff you want to talk about.
Reach out to me, and we'll schedule something else with a little more time.
Okay,
Sounds good.
sounds great. I
a great
appreciate your
Tuesday,
time.
Brian.
Okay, have a
Thanks,
good one.
gentlemen.
Have a great
wonderful
Friday, Brian.
I know I did that on purpose for you.
Have a wonderful weekend.
All right, bud. Take care, man. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
All right, and if we can just get a copy of his book up so all the kids can see it. Oh, you saw it? Okay, it was already up. All right, and then you had his website up and all that good stuff. So reach out to him. He does a lot of speaking engagements. Totally good dude, and just a guy in recovery,
Yeah.
like us,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
us.
Yeah, you get that if you've ever struggled with alcoholism or addiction, one chapter in, you realize, oh yeah, it's just a normal alcoholic and drug addict, just like the rest of us.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just like totally relating to exactly what what he says. I mean, it's kind of like you said the other week, we're not unique. You know, it's not like we're reinventing the wheel here or inventing the wheel.
I convinced myself I was very unique.
Yeah, right.
But no, one thing we didn't get a chance to touch on that he brings up a few times in that book that I thought was really interesting is how in the profession of lawyers, alcoholism is rampant.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Almost, if I remember correctly, it was about 7 or 8 times more likely for someone as a lawyer than just a normal, non-lawyer in the regular human population. It was like 3 to 5% of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, and he kind of theorizes as to why that is or whatever, but. Yeah, I wonder as well. I mean, I don't know if it's like the stress of the position or if it's just the party lifestyle. That sometimes goes along with it.
he said in his book, it was basically kind of like, the whole alcohol portion of it was accepted, and everybody had the decanters and the crystal decanters with probably or like the Louis the Tray, depending on your success level,
and like an episode of Mad Men or something.
Yeah, and then just have a highball there at the meeting and. I'll take it neat, that kind of thing. And that was just acceptable. But then, when you start pairing it with other fun stuff,
Sure.
And then, honestly, if you just start drinking on a regular basis and it just becomes commonplace, then, hey, man, you have a chance of becoming an alcoholic.
Yeah, it becomes your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's of course it's all about me, but that's where I tie it in because I basically got paid to party for a living, you know what I mean? So
yeah, we brought it up a little bit, he was talking about throwing, flushing everything down the toilet and the next
I love
day
that.
buying more, flushing it again. I threw away drugs and paraphernalia like in a fit of, oh my God, I've got to change my life. I'm throwing it away. I would throw it in the trash and then dig it out of the trash later. I started to get wise to myself and I began throwing it away in public trash cans, like at a park or outside of a convenience store,
right.
so that I couldn't go back and dig it out later. I still tried a couple times, but hey, at least I'm improving.
Right. Well,
as
I mean,
time goes on.
the thing is what he was talking about flushing it.
Yeah.
That's permanent. I mean,
Yeah, I guess a part of me never wanted to get that permanent with it.
you wanted to have just maybe a small opportunity to go get it from the public park to fetch your discarded cocaine.
Yeah, and I'm always really interested when people start talking about how either childhood trauma or just that sort of feeling of emptiness he kind of touched on a little bit, how alcohol and drugs kind of solve that. it's this weird, it's like an obsession of mine, really. I think it's kind of interesting how I'm not sure which comes first. Is it the emptiness and then alcohol fills it? Or does after time it makes it worse?
I honestly think it's kind of like what he was saying is, it just gives you that confidence, even though it's kind of a false confidence.
It makes you feel good. It works.
Yeah. For a temporary window, and then it gets into where you need it all the time, and then you're an alcoholic or addict.
Wow, wow.
So other than that, let's see. Oh, yeah. We want to also mention thanks to Summer Sky, and you can probably throw their address up. I was talking to Scott, and we were missing you in the IOP, which is intense outpatient therapy.
Intensive outpatient. Yeah. Well, you still got a little ways to catch up to me in meetings attended there. But,
right.
No, Summer Sky Residential Treatment Center in Stephenville, Texas, also one of our sponsors, and Kelly and I are both alumni of the prestigious facility.
Right.
But, it's a good place, and most importantly, I always like to say this anytime it's brought up, the people there. I've been to a few residential treatment facilities, and the people there really, really care, really genuinely care.
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with why people kind of rave about it that have been there.
Oh yeah. It's not the Taj Mahal, but it's just a special place. I mean, to us,
absolutely.
At least. So, but I'm excited about our guest next week. We actually have Dusty Burrows, and he is from Sober Basics, and that's Sobar, SOBAR Basics, because we're all in the bar industry, and a lot of us wind up in special places.
Special places? Is that what we're calling it?
Sure, why not?
But yeah, Dusty will be on, and just like always, we'll shoot the bleep with Dusty and kind of get a little backstory on him, maybe share a little backstory of us. But yeah, just to kind of thank Brian again for his time. Enjoyed the book so far. If you haven't read it, if you enjoy books like that, check it out. It is a good one. It's pretty interesting. And just to kind of reiterate, alcoholism, drug addiction doesn't really care who you are. If you use to excess, then you can cross that line into addiction, and regardless of your family or your brother, as in Brian was talking about a billionaire brother and a lawyer, didn't matter at all.
Right.
Alcohol and drugs kind of took him down there.
Well, since we're kind of on the war story vein, like he was telling about war stories,
sure.
Right? I would like you to tell the good folks out there your war story, that involve which should we go with, the Target war story?
You like this one, so
it's a good one.
I'll do this one for you, Kelly.
It's a good one. Okay. A special dedication
for Kelly Reverb out there. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, drug addict and alcoholic right here, IV heroin user, IV heroin and cocaine. Well, really anything.
Anything that was in front of you.
Yeah, anything
bath
that
salts.
I never did bath salts, but what a bummer. I never did bath salts. I must have missed out.
I never did Molly. Damn it.
No, so at this point in my life, I'm probably about 22 years old, something like that, 21, 22, I don't know. And I'm not in good shape. Right. It has not been going well for me out there.
Okay.
Let's call it some bad luck.
Let's see. What would your weight be at that time?
Well, at this point, I'm living in a 1992 Honda Accord.
Okay.
Yeah, which is solid.
Not bad.
Occasionally, I'm able to convince this guy to let me crash on his couch. But that's going to dry up pretty soon because I stole some things from his garage.
You borrowed them,
yeah,
right? Just without asking.
And I know I'm going to need some money to get those out of pawn, to get the just the nonsense that goes on with someone like me. So, anyways, I get this idea that I'm tired of stealing little stuff and coming up with $50 and $75 here and there to try and keep my habit afloat. I'm going to hit the mother load. I'm going to hit the big lick, as we call it. So I get this idea that I am going to go to Target and I'm going to fill a shopping cart full of DVDs.
Sure. And that was when it was kind of newer technology and everybody was into the DVDs.
This is like 2002 or something.
The resale market was good. Right.
Whatever, yeah. Like
sure.
2001, 2002. I'm going to fill an entire shopping cart full of DVDs, and then I'm just going to go out the front door. And it's all going to happen so fast, there's no way they can catch me.
Sure.
You know, even if they see me on camera, it doesn't matter. I'll be gone before they get me. And I remember having the thought before. Well, first off, I told someone I was going to do this, and he looked right at me and goes, "That is the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. Do not do that."
Did he end up being the driver for you?
No.
Okay.
He ended up being right, is what he ended up being. But anyways, so I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to get my nice polo knit on. That way I look...
Oh, you look somewhat respectable.
Yeah,
right?
I look inconspicuous there. They won't ever suspect anyone in a polo knit. I've got hair out to here. Beard out to here.
Right.
I'm 115 pounds of awesome or whatever I am at this point. Anyway, so I go into Target. I fill up the shopping cart full of DVDs. I start to go to the front door, and as I'm walking to the front door, I see two big, what are loss prevention guys.
Sure, closing in.
They're on the outside.
Swarm.
Kind of stop me there. As I see them, I pause the cart and start looking at the sunglasses. Like, oh, look,
yes, I have over 200 DVDs in here in my basket, but I'm gonna get some sunglasses too while I'm at it.
As I'm doing the sunglasses, two more come up behind me. They grab me. They start leading me to their little.
You never even made it to the door, did you?
I got to the door.
Right.
I never made it out the door.
Okay.
It wouldn't have mattered anyways, by the way, because my getaway driver had got away. He drove off. There was no car waiting for me out there.
Nice.
And
I could just see Nolan with the hair flowing running through the Target parking lot with a cart full of DVDs.
I promise you I would not have abandoned the DVDs. that would not have happened. Anyways, so they grab me. They start leading me to the little room where they're going to, interrogate me or whatever.
Sure. What were your intentions here? What were you going to...
Yeah. And they've got me by each arm, and they've got me pretty, good or whatever. And in my head is just this thing playing over and over again, like, don't get caught, don't get caught, don't get caught. Like, whatever you do, don't get caught, right? Mm-hmm. So I tell them, I'm like, you don't have to hold me like that. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I think those were my exact words. And for whatever reason, they let me go, which was a terrible move by them.
Sure.
The second their grip loosened, I took off. Okay. Well, they had already locked the doors, so there was no getting out of Target. So what I start doing is my best Barry Sanders impression.
You start juking people
all around the checkout area at Target. Whoever was shopping at Target that day got a show. I still think about that, like the families or whatever that were there just checking out. You're like, what is this guy doing? Just and pulling little moves and spin moves and stuff. They had about 7 or 8 loss prevention guys trying to get me
after you.
I was slippery. I was still in my early 20s, and
sure, you had some wheels. I guess.
Yeah, I guess, and probably chemically induced wheels at that point too.
Right,
that doesn't hurt.
Or at least chemically enhanced.
Yeah. Anyways, I got caught. I got tackled.
So
I went to jail that day.
They tackled you and then went to jail. And what was the charge?
It was misdemeanor theft. So it should have been felony theft because it was over $1,000.
Sure.
But they took pity on me and gave me Class A of $500 to $1,000.
And did you have like 20 copies of one video, like really?
No,
like 20 copies of Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
No, I kind of just put a bunch of new stuff in there. I mean, it was a terrible idea.
Were you shopping for yourself? And you go, I like that. Yeah.
And you know what? I feel like I need to say that. So that's kind of a funny story, right?
Sure,
or at least, self-deprecatingly funny.
Right.
What's not funny, though, is I went to jail. And as I started to detox in jail, I convinced my sister to bond me out. She bonded me out. She let me move in with her after that. And I repaid that by stealing a bunch of her stuff and taking that to the pawn shop.
What a good brother. TVs and whatnot.
And, it's just one of those things where for every funny, silly story I've got, generally on the back end is some sort of story where
it's a little sadness. Yeah,
where
it's a little reality.
Hurt some relationship or
For sure.
or something just to kind of keep it going, because I didn't know what else to do. I guess I don't know.
You don't. Well, when you're in that situation, you don't think about the repercussions or how it's going to affect anybody else at all.
Oh, I think about it. It just doesn't outweigh the need to get more.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, that's the Target story. I always
the Target story.
The Target story.
I just love the picture.
Sorry,
of you
Target.
Running, you running around, dude. Doing all the
really
the cone drill. Dude,
yeah.
Trying to
I stayed loose for a good 90 seconds there. I mean, I was putting,
and you had like the full court press. Like you had like 7 guys coming after you.
They were coming for me.
Yeah,
they were coming for me.
Great.
They were. Yeah, it pays to be shifty sometimes.
It pays to be nimble.
Yeah,
and young and on drugs. What? Oh no, not that part.
It pays. That paid negative money. Actually.
Right, exactly. So, what else you got for us, Professor? Anything you want to bring up, or you want to ask me anything?
Yeah. I mean, well, you started talking about some of the clubs that and before we even got on air, you brought up the idea that you and Brian probably crossed paths at some point.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, talk a little bit about that. Where you think that might have happened?
Well, I mean, I did the original Hard Rock, which was on McKinney Avenue in Dallas.
Okay.
And that was like 87 when I started DJing. And it's okay, I'll tell you how old I am. I'm 50. So that was 87.
Where's your enthusiasm?
Yeah, right. No, it's good. Hey, at least I'm alive, right?
Yeah.
So, it was 87. I started off there, then went to the Centrum building, and it was a club called Profiles. And then they closed that. And by the way, that was where Jerry Jones was on my dance floor. So he was out there all just grooving and just getting.
He's been known to be out there in the Dallas
I've seen him. I have seen him escorted out here and there. What? What's going on? But anyway, so yeah,
it's a
Jerry
note for me, Kelly.
Yeah, oh, okay. but Jerry, was on my floor, and then Ed Too Tall Jones. I mean, I've seen them all. Like they all used to hang out there. God, you name it, dude. And then, of course, Red Jacket, shout out. Lizard Lounge, shout out. Spent many a nights there. And just total debauchery and getting paid for it.
Total debauchery.
Yeah, total debauchery and getting paid for it and making a living at partying and playing music. And I got into that for girls, and I did okay.
And it worked. It turns out,
believe it or not, yeah. And
it turns out the stories.
Of course, I was always kind of like Brian, the path of least resistance. I wanted to do the least amount for the highest yield. You know what I mean? So
I think we all want
I was
that.
like, well, okay, and then I'll be a DJ. And actually, I did. So,
well, there you go.
There you have it.
No, I mean, I don't have anything else other than
reach out to us at thispinkcloud.com. It'll route you to our page actually right now. Give us a like, give us a share, and all that good stuff. But if you ever have anything you want to talk to us about, get advice, we can do it. We can give it to you.
Yeah, we may be crazy, but there's a few things we know. One is how we got sober, and we're always willing to share that with anybody that wants to hear it.
Right.
And can maybe help you do the same. If you're in that boat, if you're ready to try and make a change, then we can maybe help push you along that way.
Right.
Also, Thanksgiving coming up. Everybody be safe. We are in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. Wear these things right
our
here.
Little masks.
Yeah, right.
And,
exactly. So, as far as the club thing goes, so that was pretty much it on that one. But let's see, what else do we have? Oh, yeah, just to mention again, we have Dusty Burrows coming up from Sober Basics. And I'll talk a little bit about that app, and we'll talk – oh, not app. It should be an app. But
everything should be an app to you.
Exactly. But no, it's a website that where he has a community of addicts and currently addicts and also alcoholics, and it's just great. It's a great community vibe, and we'll get into it more next week. But it's so cool that you can just hop on and you can relate to people because they're all over their sobriety. There's people struggling that are trying to get sober.
Yeah.
There are people that with 30 days. There are people with 8 years. So
Yeah.
and I think Brian is a member of the Sober Basics as well. So it's a good community, and I highly recommend it. Other than that, Nolan, you got anything else?
No, I mean, you keep saying the word community. I just always want to point that out to anyone who's given this a shot without the help of other people.
Right.
All I can talk about is what I know for me. And what I know for me is I never was able to pull this off without the help of other people.
Sure, and I agree totally, because like if you're just trying to white knuckle it out there in your own world and you're in your own head, chances are it's not going to work. I mean, it has worked, but very rarely has it worked.
To varying degrees with the worked there. But
Right.
no, I mean, and I don't mean help like a money or a job.
Right. Well, I think
in-
with you and I, and like even with our little Summer Sky crew, we're kind of holding each other accountable, and we're there for each other, and we can relate because we went through the exact same thing, you know?
I mean, I just think something happens when we all get together for that purpose of
Right.
trying to get better.
Right.
It seems to increase the odds of success.
Yeah, I agree totally.
And Sober
because-
Basics is a way that people do that.
And and they can
12-step
also
meetings,
they can also get on there
listening to shows
on
like
the on the Sober Basics. They can actually get on there and ask for advice from other addicts. Like, hey, I'm looking for a Zoom meeting, and boom,
or whatever.
There'll be like 20 replies and go, oh, okay, it was that easy. All right. But I guess what are we doing on time there, Charles? So we're
probably about 5 minutes.
Yeah, about 5 minutes. Huh? What's
Okay.
-1?
-1. We're at -1 minutes, whatever that means. Is that the end? No, I know what it means. No, I know what it means.
I gotcha.
Well, shoot, I'll tell another story. Why not? You're
Okay,
talking about
go
war
ahead.
stories. So that, after I left my sisters, or was asked to leave my sisters,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I sort of became as homeless as you can get.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Did you have a car?
I had a car
The
until
92 Honda.
Yeah,
Okay.
92 Honda Accord until
Right.
I guess we'll go into this story. So I started doing this thing where I would. This was back when there were like prepaid cell phones that you could buy
Oh
at
yeah,
Walmart.
dude. The old burner phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I would steal those from
course.
Walmart.
Of course.
And
You would
then I
borrow them without asking.
Yeah, and then I would call the 800 number where you're supposed to, like the customer service line for these phones.
Right.
And complain to them long enough until they activated it.
And they would fall for it.
They
'cause
would
you
fall
had-
for it.
You had it down. Okay.
And then then I'd sell those phones. And I did have a car, and I was living in that for a little bit until I let a guy named Rock
okay.
borrow my car.
That's a good name.
Which is always a red flag.
Sure.
You want to stay away from people named Rock. And then he let a girl named Snow borrow it, which was not part of the plan. Also stay away from girls named Snow. Anyways, they wrecked it into a building.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, into a building.
Any particular building, or was it?
Yeah, actually, it was.
It was a
I'm not sure if
7-Eleven.
I think statute of limitations is up on that by now.
Right.
No, it was a building off of Vickery Boulevard in Fort Worth, Texas. Anyways, that was the end of that car.
Right.
Which is really a bummer. That was my home.
Sure, of course. You had all your stuff in there.
They wrecked my poor home.
That's hilarious. Hey, I got a question for you. I can
Yeah.
just pull you off of that subject, and we can save that story for later. But do
pretty
you
much the whole
still today? This is always a good question, and I always find the answer usually intriguing if the person's intelligent.
No
But
camouflage.
do you still have triggers to this day? Like, I mean, do you still have stuff when you go out, like, that still, like, you go, damn?
So I'm not a big proponent of triggers.
Okay.
Okay, and that's for me.
Mhm.
Like, I really kind of think that I have crossed over into a realm of addiction where anything can be a trigger for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can wake up on a random Wednesday and just wake up triggered.
Right.
If I don't take care of business, then almost anything can be a conversation.
And
Whatever.
as far as business, what do you mean?
Now,
staying active in your
I
recovery?
will say the one thing that is a trigger for me, and this is just, I'm a former IV user. So for whatever reason, seeing veins immediately puts my head into that space. Kind of sad and weird.
I'd love that.
But it's true.
Yeah. No, I mean.
But it's true. Now, as far as taking care of business, what I mean by that is we kind of touched on it a little bit, staying connected to other people. Staying
through
connected,
AA and
through 12-step meetings, through websites, through the phone.
Yeah,
call people, talk to them. Just staying connected to other people. I also I try and stay pretty disciplined about waking up in the morning and starting my day in the right kind of headspace. With prayer, with some reading, that kind of puts me out there into the world with the thought of, okay, this is the goal today. For one, not drinking and doing any drugs. That's always priority uno.
Right.
But also carrying some kind of positivity into the day. But I mean, those are examples. I do attend 12-step meetings. I think they're important, but just little things, some kind of routine, some kind of discipline, to get me out of my own mind, because my mind is weird. My mind can see veins on someone's arm and all of a sudden go off.
Speaking of your mind being weird and the whole veins thing. Guess where I'm going with this? We're gonna talk about it. In rehab, I found out that my my little friend over here has a fear of glitter. And hold on. It is titled Sparkalaphobia.
Apparently, it has a name. Okay.
Yes, Sparkalaphobia. The only person that I know that has Sparkalaphobia is sitting across from me right now.
It's not a fear. It's a respect for what glitter can do. Not everyone knows how dangerous glitter can be. I mean, we're all laughing, but I'm serious about this. You think about it. It's a tiny little piece of metal, all right? Just because it's sparkly and pink doesn't mean your kids should be playing with it. If you just dumped out a bunch of metal shavings and said, start playing with that, you're doing the same thing.
So
what if it gets in your eye, Kelly? What are you going to do then?
Wash it out. Water.
I mean, that's one option.
Okay, that's the
you could lose your eye
option,
too.
Right? You could. Yeah, right.
It's a real thing. People have lost their eyes because.
But okay, you know how Brian was talking about how it shapes you like early on, like his mom saying, your little chunk of change. How did you get to? I mean, how did the fear come about?
I don't know what age I was, but I was, I don't know, probably playing with my sisters, doing some arts and crafts thing, and there was glitter.
Right.
And my dad
innocently
and casually was like, "Oh, don't get that stuff in your eye. You'll lose your eye if you do that." And he doesn't even remember saying that. But for whatever reason, that stuck in my head. And I don't trust glitter.
I know.
Just talking about it's making me feel anxious a little bit.
I'm like,
I'm just kind of, keeping my eyes peeled, making sure there's not any glitter around.
We've got a surprise for you. We're gonna have a glitter cannon, dude. All of a sudden,
there's a chapter in Brian's book actually where he talks about going to a strip club and just not enjoying strip clubs and hating them.
All right.
Now he doesn't enjoy them because I don't enjoy them because there's glitter.
There's glitter involved.
Keep the glitter away from me. I'm serious. You can't trust strippers. They have glitter on them.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. I love that. And I love that we got that in. And we will be bringing that up often.
I'm sure you will.
Sparkalaphobia.
I don't trust him. I don't trust Kelly. I feel like he's going to glitter bomb me one day.
One day.
And that'll be the end of our friendship.
You're going to get a special birthday card, Christmas card, and... Here you go, Nolan.
You better not.
I'm just going to keep on. I'm going to give you a card like every day, and it'll just be a nice card saying, hey, good job, buddy. And then just one day, it just you in the back of your head. I'm going to give you a fear of greeting cards.
You're already doing it. Glitter belongs in secured containers.
Right.
That's where it belongs.
Well, hey, what do you say we wrap it up for this week? And then, early happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
So,
Thanksgiving, everyone. Be safe.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
smart.
definitely wear your mask out there and hit us up on thispinkcloud.com and just send us any questions you have. Next week we have Dusty Burrows from Sobar Basics.
Looking forward to it.
And should be a good show, but thanks for hanging out, and thanks again to Brian Cuban, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.